Postgame is presented by Old El Paso. Start somewhere fresh. Always pleased to be alongside Ryan Wilson and Bryant McFadden here to offer their thoughts on whatever that was. And I want to start talking about coaching because you get an extra day. You're an offensive mastermind. Yes, you're dealing with some attrition at the quarterback position, but how much of this loss do you put at the feet of Mike McDaniel?
A lot. He's the head coach. That's where the buck stops. And I would imagine that's where owner Stephen Ross will ask his questions when he meets with his head coach as well. And we know that he's from the Kyle Shanahan coaching tree, Joe and B-Mac. But what we see with Kyle Shanahan compared to Mike McDaniel is that Kyle Shanahan can win with something less than his QB1. You could argue that Brock Purdy fell in his lap, maybe. But they had Trey Lance out there playing okay before the injury and everything changed with Brock Purdy. We have not seen anything close to that in a post-Tua world with McDaniel in this offense. And we know that they have a history of not showing up in December. But without their quarterback, they look nothing like what they did before. And look, Huntley's only there for 12 days. I'm not going to make that a knock against him. But Skylar Thompson wasn't exactly setting the world on fire either. So it doesn't look good. The season's not over. We're only a quarter of the way through it. We'll see where Tua is in his journey to get back healthy. But this is hard to watch. B-Mac said before he came on it was a JV game, and that might be disrespectful to junior varsity football.
Mac, before we get to the road ahead here for Miami, I mean, we've seen teams win already this season with their backups. We just saw one win against the Miami Dolphins. We've seen LaFleur do it with his depth. We've seen Canales do it, turning to the backup quarterback there, Shane Steichen, having to do it this week in the absence of Anthony Richardson. Why can't Mike McDaniel put together a game plan, albeit on short preparation time with his new QB? But what's the disconnect there? What did you see in the game plan and the lack of execution?
I think with Tua Tagovailoa, guys, Miami, either side of the football field, but especially on the offensive side, they're more of a finesse team. They do good. They provide good numbers running the football, but they kind of trick you in how they do their running, how the running game is orchestrated. A lot of motion, a lot of misdirection, and that has been their calling card. When you don't have your quarterback and you're not a generic running style of offense where you can kind of play bully ball, those things are thrown out of the window. Because to your point, the other teams that have had to bring in their backup quarterback but still found ways to be successful, they can run the football, which kind of takes some pressure off of the backup quarterback. In today's matchup, Tyler Huntley was the leading rusher for the Miami Dolphins. That is not ideal. Yes, Tyler Huntley is an athletic quarterback, but when you still have guys like A-Chain and Wright, those are guys that are more than serviceable at the running back position, even with a backup guy in the lineup. And they still, defensively, you still have to respect Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle because of their speed. So when you talk about the issues, what we've seen with Mike McDaniels as the head coach with the backup quarterback, the running game, their style of offense running the football, it works when you have a good quarterback that can open things up with his throwing arm, but just the finesse style, it doesn't translate when you don't have your starting quarterback, and there lies the issue.
It's a great point because the misdirection that they often use, the pre-snap stuff, none of it means anything if there's no threat of the forward pass downfield, and Tyler Huntley did not bring that on this night. Shy of 100 yards here in this performance. The question now becomes, absolutely.
And B-Mac makes a great point, and it gave me some pause, because when you talk about Kyle Shanahan, they will play bully ball. They will run between the tackles, whether it's C-Mac or in this case Jordan Mason.
We're seeing it with Mason, yeah.
And that's right. And as B-Mac noted, everything is on the perimeter with the speed that Mike McDaniel has drafted and Chris Greer have drafted. And if one thing isn't working, in this case it's the orchestrator, the point guard, and Tua Tagovailoa, it all seems to go south. So that is something else to keep in mind in terms of the differences between San Francisco, where Mike McDaniel came from, and what this Dolphins offense was intended to be and what it currently looks like.
All right, you're going to take on a Patriots team now that likes to play physical football. You're going to be asked to do that in Foxborough, and you got to get right. You got to coach them up, and you got to implement a game plan. Where does Miami go from here? Because I can't help but sit here and watch Tua and feel like he's got to come back as quickly as he can once he gets off that IR to be the savior of this football team. And that gives me a sense of unease as well, Ryan.
Yeah, I'm interested to hear what B-Mac thinks about this, but you'll have another week with Tyler Huntley as the #1, and it'll be almost 20 days by the time this game rolls around that he's been on the roster in Miami, so that'll help. And this loss isn't on Tyler Huntley. It's on the fact that they've been banged up at some key positions. But to Musso's point here, the Patriots don't care. The Patriots have their own issues they're working through, and Gerard Mayo's going to have that offense showing up and ready to go, defense, excuse me, showing up and ready to go and getting after it. And if they're going to play finesse ball, as you talk about, B-Mac, the Dolphins, they're going to be in for another long AFC East matchup. So I don't know where the quick fix here is. You don't want to rush Tua back because of the injury history, of course. But in the meantime, they're going to have to hold on for dear life. And while hope isn't a plan, as B-Mac said before during the pregame, do a lot of praying, because that might be your best avenue to sniffing a victory at this point.
And one thing I know about the game of football, guys, if you're a finesse ball club on the offensive side, especially in the interior, 9 times out of 10, your defensive line will be finessed as well. So 2 things that are issues for Miami for the 2nd straight week in a row. They can't run the football, and they can't stop the ground and pound attack as well. They couldn't run last week against Seattle. Seattle ran the football against them effectively. Tonight, they couldn't run the football against the Titans. The Titans ran the ball effectively as well. So when you talk about next week, yes, the New England Patriots have looked very, very bad. Their offensive line has been atrocious. They can't protect their quarterback. But against the Miami Dolphins, seeing how vulnerable they've been in the trenches, this is a winnable matchup for the New England Patriots. Because without Tua Tagovailoa, their offense, Miami, they have no pulse at all. They're just a body. And defensively, they're really missing Christian Wilkins. Let's keep it real. He was the engine for that truck on the defensive side, especially in the interior. We saw how he harassed Deshaun Watson, Jerome Ford yesterday for the Cleveland Browns. Not having him in the lineup and not getting that same production either from a few guys or from the entire defense, it has really been an issue for them, especially when you have your backup quarterback in the lineup. Because when you do have your backup quarterback, your defense, they got to be much better. And we're not seeing that from Miami in 2 games of play without Tua Tagovailoa.
And I think over this stretch without Tua and trying to get this team up from off the mat, we're going to learn a whole bunch about Mike McDaniel as a leader of men. That required of a coach, especially when the bullets are flying and things are not going well. We do need to offer thought here on the winning side as well, as the Tennessee Titans, in the midst of this win very early on, lose their starting quarterback in Will Levis. I know you're trying to develop a quarterback and a young one at that, Ryan, but we saw a team that maybe had a little bit more calm, a little bit more steadiness in their offensive approach, a little bit more protection of that football with Mason Rudolph under center. Do you start to think about who gives you the best chance to win right now and give up a little bit of that long-term finding out of what you do have?
Yep. And to your point, go back 7-8 months ago when Kenny Pickett got banged up.
Same question in Pittsburgh.
Same question in Pittsburgh, and B-Mac knows this better than anyone. Mason Rudolph came in and played like a quarterback, a number 1. He wasn't a franchise guy, but he did the things you want your quarterback to do, whether it's an Andy Dalton or Joe Flacco in their situations, and you can build on that. Now, look, Mason Rudolph didn't set the world on fire tonight, but he didn't make the mistakes that we've seen Will Levis make week in and week out, and we talked about it at halftime. He only attempted 4 passes in this game. He still managed to get off an interception, and we saw Brian Callahan say after that Week 1 loss when he was so incredibly frustrated, he's going to stick with him for now, but maybe this is a situation where, like Anthony Richardson, you don't have to rush him back out there. And I'll just say this. I was thinking about this as you were asking the question, Joe. I don't know which situation I would rather be in. Do I want to be the Miami Dolphins who are reeling, but knowing you're getting Tua back? Or do you want to be now the suddenly 1-3 Titans finally got their first win, but with no real quarterback resolution?
Well, I can answer the first question first. Mason Rudolph will be the guy moving forward for the Tennessee Titans. And the reason why I say that, guys, Joe, Ryan, is because Will Levis was healthy enough to go in that ball game. I didn't get inside information or anything like that. I'm just knowing the game and being a part of the game. When he went into the blue tent to check his shoulder, he came out, he had his helmet. He had his helmet on like it was game time. And you know what? They started to kind of get some things going offensively. No. Let's just take your time. Just take your time. I've heard that before, per se. You know, you feel like you're ready to go. I'm ready to go. No. Everything is going good. Just we want to make sure you're really, really feeling good. Guess what? They rolled with Mason the entire ball game. And to your point, Ryan, the same untimely mistakes that Coach Callahan has been raving and critical about of Will Levis surfaced in the very, very first drive. Only 4 pass attempts, and you threw a pick in 4 pass attempts. Come on. At some point in time, they're going to get tired of telling you to stop doing the same things over and over and over again. And for this team, they have a very, very serviceable defense. Even without Jeffrey Simmons today, they play really good football. They feel like they're a player or 2 away from being in above 500, to say the least. And your quarterback has hurt you more so than help you. So moving forward, and to your point, Mason didn't blow you away, but he made minor plays here or there, small plays here or there, staying in the pocket, not getting happy feet, making direct passes, orchestrating the offense. That offense looked better with Mason Rudolph. Even though he didn't blow you away with numbers, let's keep it real. They look better. So if you're a Coach Callahan, Joe, Ryan, what do you do?
The goal is always winning football games, and I think Mason Rudolph gives you a better chance, but you got a quarterback in Will Levis that you're trying to figure out, and I think you're leaning one way more than you are the other, but is the opportunity
Joe,
up for him to prove?
Remember, this coaching staff did not draft
Another great point.
Will Levis.
Another great point. Where have I seen a quarterback who is ineligible to play with a helmet on standing on a sideline?
He's making fun of Russ Wilson, B-Mac. Hey, can I ask you a question,
Sorry,
B-Mac?
I couldn't help myself.
I want to ask you
Russ
this.
does not wear his helmet, though. Russ doesn't walk with his helmet on.
I'm playing. I had to offer a little levity. This was a segment going the wrong direction for both of these teams. I apologize.
Let me ask you this, B-Mac. As a player on the defense, and we saw this in Carolina with Bryce Young and Andy Dalton, and you go to sit down, and the fourth play of the game, your rookie or your second-year quarterback's on an interception. How does that go on that side of the ball when you're trying to catch your breath and when you know that silly mistakes are costing you? You have to go back out there. Do you prefer a veteran, and in the case that we saw with Carolina as well, if you're in this case the Tennessee Titan defender?
No question you do. Let's keep it real. Will Levis is the more athletic quarterback of the two, but the above-the-shoulder game will go to Mason Rudolph. He won't do things to hurt the team. And we saw that when he jumped into the lineup for Kenny Pickett a year ago with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I'm not saying you put Mason Rudolph in the lineup for the Tennessee Titans, you instantly become a championship contender. But right now, it's about trying to find a way to win a ball game. And before tonight's game, they were winless, right? And your young quarterback started the game doing the same things he's done in previous matchups, which his coach has talked about and saying, you got to get this out of your system. So as a defender being a part of the Tennessee Titans, you go from in the first drive and saying, oh, boy, here we go again. So you know what? We got an older guy that knows how to handle the system, and he doesn't press the issue. So for Tennessee, I mean, you look at the division, man. I know you got the Houston Texans, but Jacksonville clearly hasn't figured things out. And let's keep it real. The Colts, they won yesterday, but they don't really, strike any fear when it comes to what they can do. So if I'm Coach Callahan, Mason, it's your job until I see otherwise through your play.
It's an interesting conversation on both sides of this one, but the result does go to the Tennessee Titans, who, as you said, Ryan, get their first win of this season. It comes against a Miami Dolphins team just going up against it. Bryant McFadden, Ryan Wilson, we appreciate you guys as always. Ryan, what do we got coming on with the first pick this week?
Tuesday, me and my buddy Rick Spielman, the former Vikings general manager, will be talking about these rookie quarterbacks and some guy named Jaden Daniels and even a little Caleb Williams action. Good weeks for those young men.
Professional tease there by a professional man.